In today's episode, we're looking at 5 tourists who were mauled alive in Yellowstone National Park. From a trainer who got too close to America's largest land mammal, to a deadly encounter with nature's most efficient predator. We start at Norris Campground, where retrieving a cooler became a nightmare. It was June 14, 2013, when a routine lunch break at Yellowstone National Park turned deadly at the Norris Campground area. The remote spur trail, surrounded by dense lodgepole pine and thermal features, had been posting bear warnings for weeks. Fresh scat and claw marks on nearby trees should have been clear indicators of recent grizzly activity in the area. The campground's elevated location provided sweeping views of the Norris Geyser Basin, where steam vents and hot springs created an otherworldly landscape that attracted thousands of visitors annually. Jillian Moore, a 26-year-old circus bear trainer, was traveling with her crew between bookings. Known for her conscientious approach and eagerness to prove her competence with dangerous animals, she had spent years working with captive bears in controlled environments. Her colleagues, Miguel Alvarez, the 34-year-old head animal wrangler, and Tasha Lynn, a 29-year-old PR assistant, had stopped for a quick scenic shoot near the campground. Miguel, always meticulous about safety protocols, had reminded everyone about proper food storage earlier that morning. However, Tasha, driven by tight deadlines, pushed the group to capture footage quickly before moving on. The crew had chosen this particular spot for its photogenic backdrop of steaming thermal features and towering pines. A soft-sided cooler containing their lunch had been briefly left in the truck bed, and various snacks and sunscreen bottles were scattered across the wooden picnic table. The area carried the distinct scent of food that would prove fatally attractive to local wildlife. Warning signs posted throughout the campground explicitly stated the 100-yard minimum distance required when encountering bears, but the remote location had given the group a false sense of security. Grizzly bears are among North America's most formidable predators, weighing up to 800 pounds and capable of running 35 miles per hour. These massive omnivores possess an extraordinary sense of smell, 7 times stronger than a bloodhound, allowing them to detect food sources from miles away. When bears become food-conditioned, associating humans with easy meals, they lose their natural wariness and become increasingly aggressive in pursuing these rewards. Adult male grizzlies can stand over 9 feet tall on their hind legs and possess jaw strength capable of crushing a bowling ball. The attack began when a large male grizzly emerged from the timber, moving with deliberate purpose toward the picnic area. The bear's head remained low, nostrils flared, following the scent trail directly to the table where food odors lingered. Instead of following standard protocol to back away slowly and prepare bear spray, Jillian made the fatal mistake of stepping forward to retrieve the cooler while attempting to intimidate the approaching predator. Moving between the bear and its target, Jillian waved her arms and shouted commands as she would with trained circus animals. This aggressive posturing triggered the grizzly's defensive response. The bear closed the remaining distance in seconds, its massive frame covering ground with surprising speed. The initial charge knocked Jillian backward with tremendous force, her body hitting the ground as the picnic table overturned, scattering food across the area. The grizzly's powerful forepaws struck Jillian's torso and head with crushing blows, each swipe capable of generating over 1,000 pounds of pressure per square inch. The bear's 4-inch claws raked across her chest and shoulders, creating deep lacerations that severed major blood vessels. Its massive jaws, equipped with teeth designed to crush bone, clamped down on her neck and upper torso, causing catastrophic trauma to vital organs and the spinal column. As Jillian's body went limp, the bear maintained its grip, shaking violently in the manner typical of predatory attacks. The combination of massive blood loss from arterial damage, crushing injuries to the ribcage that punctured both lungs, and severe trauma to the cervical spine resulted in immediate cardiac arrest. Miguel and Tasha, who had retreated to a safe distance, deployed bear spray, but the chemical deterrent came too late to prevent the fatal injuries. The grizzly released its grip and retreated into the forest as emergency calls flooded the park's dispatch center. Rangers arrived within minutes to secure the scene, but Jillian had already succumbed to her injuries. The bear spray had successfully driven off the animal, preventing further casualties among the remaining crew members. Park officials launched an immediate investigation into the incident, focusing on food storage violations and the circumstances that led to the bear's aggressive behavior. The grizzly was later tracked and euthanized due to its food-conditioned behavior and the fatal attack on a human. Jillian's family released a brief statement, emphasizing her lifelong dedication to animal welfare and requesting privacy during their grief. The incident prompted renewed discussions about wildlife safety protocols and the dangers of food conditioning in national parks. While Jillian Moore's tragic encounter with a grizzly bear at Norris would haunt her colleagues, the dangers lurking in Yellowstone were far from over. Just 2 months later, Carter Hayes would face North America's largest land mammal at Madison Junction, discovering that even experienced animal handlers could fall victim to split-second decisions in the wild. It was August 22, 2015, when a scenic stop at Madison Junction turned into a nightmare that would claim another life in Yellowstone National Park. The popular roadside turnout, situated where the Firehole and Gibbon Rivers converge to form the Madison River, offered sweeping views of the expansive meadows that stretched toward distant mountain peaks. Late afternoon traffic had created a bottleneck of vehicles as tourists gathered to photograph the iconic landscape and the wildlife that frequently grazed in the open grasslands. Carter Hayes, a 31-year-old big cat trainer with years of experience handling dangerous animals in circus environments, was traveling with his crew between performance venues. Known for his skill and efficiency, Carter sometimes worked under intense time pressure to meet demanding schedules. His colleagues, Elena Rocha, a 36-year-old transport manager, and Kevin Pike, a 24-year-old assistant handler, had pulled into the turnout for what was supposed to be a brief, leg-stretching break. Elena, always organized and cautious about safety protocols, had specifically warned the team to maintain proper distances and remain near their vehicles. However, the stunning scenery and perfect lighting conditions proved too tempting for a quick promotional photograph. The crew had chosen this location for its photogenic backdrop of rolling meadows and distant peaks, unaware that a massive bull bison had separated from the main herd and was grazing dangerously close to the parking area. Multiple groups of visitors had already clustered too close to the animal, ignoring the clearly posted warning signs that mandated a minimum distance of 25 yards from all wildlife. The bull displayed classic signs of agitation, pawing the ground and turning broadside to present his imposing profile, but these warning behaviors went unrecognized by the excited tourists. American bison are North America's largest land mammals, with mature bulls weighing up to 2,000 pounds and standing 6 feet tall at the shoulder. Despite their seemingly docile appearance, these massive herbivores are responsible for more visitor injuries in Yellowstone than any other animal. Bison can reach speeds of 35 miles per hour and possess incredible agility, capable of changing direction instantly. Their massive heads, reinforced with thick bone and equipped with sharp, curved horns, serve as devastating weapons when they feel threatened or cornered. The attack began when Carter stepped off the pavement to frame a better shot, positioning himself within the critical danger zone. The bull bison, already displaying signs of stress from the crowd of onlookers, interpreted Carter's approach as a direct threat. The animal's tail lifted upright, a clear warning signal that preceded aggressive behavior. Carter made the fatal mistake of continuing to move closer, focusing on his camera rather than reading the bison's increasingly agitated body language. The bull lowered its massive head and committed to a full charge across the shallow roadside ditch. The ground trembled under the weight of nearly a ton of muscle and bone accelerating toward its target. Carter had no time to retreat as the bison closed the distance in seconds, its powerful legs driving forward with unstoppable momentum. The initial impact lifted Carter completely off his feet as the bull's reinforced skull struck his torso with the force of a freight train. The collision generated over 2,000 pounds of crushing pressure, instantly fracturing multiple ribs and driving bone fragments into his lungs and heart. The bison's sharp horns penetrated deep into Carter's chest cavity, puncturing vital organs and severing major blood vessels. As Carter's body hit the ground, the enraged bull continued its assault, using its massive head to hook and toss the motionless form. The animal's hooves, each weighing several pounds and hardened like steel, delivered crushing blows to Carter's skull and spine. The combination of penetrating trauma from the horns, massive internal bleeding from ruptured organs, and catastrophic head injuries resulted in immediate loss of consciousness and rapid cardiovascular collapse. The bull delivered one final devastating stomp before wheeling around and trotting back toward the main herd, leaving Carter's broken body motionless on the trampled grass. Horrified onlookers retreated to their vehicles as the reality of what they had witnessed set in. Emergency calls flooded the park's communication center, but the massive trauma inflicted by the bison had already proven fatal. Rangers arrived within minutes to secure the scene and establish a safety perimeter around the aggressive bull. Emergency medical personnel attempted resuscitation efforts, But the extensive internal injuries and massive blood loss had already claimed Carter's life. The bison, having defended its territory, showed no further signs of aggression and was allowed to rejoin the herd. Park officials launched a comprehensive investigation into the incident, examining visitor behavior patterns and the effectiveness of current wildlife safety education programs. The attack prompted renewed calls for stricter enforcement of distance regulations and enhanced warning systems at popular wildlife viewing areas. Carter's family issued a statement requesting privacy while mourning the loss of their loved one, emphasizing his lifelong passion for working with animals and his dedication to wildlife conservation. While Carter Hayes had fallen victim to the raw power of America's largest land mammal at Madison Junction, the tragic pattern of wildlife encounters in Yellowstone continued to unfold. Just 1 month later, Bryce Abbott would face a different but equally dangerous situation at Mammoth Hot Springs, where the autumn rutting season would transform normally docile elk into aggressive territorial defenders. It was September 24, 2018, when the manicured lawns of Mammoth Hot Springs became the scene of another deadly wildlife encounter in Yellowstone National Park. The historic administrative area, with its terraced limestone formations and government buildings, typically provided a safe haven for visitors to observe wildlife from maintained walkways. The cool morning air carried the distinctive sounds of autumn, including the haunting bugle calls that echoed across the valley as elk entered their annual rutting season. Bryce Abbott, a 38-year-old senior animal wrangler with extensive experience handling dangerous species in circus environments, was traveling with his understaffed crew between performance venues. Known for his steady demeanor and respected expertise, Bryce sometimes worked with minimal support due to budget constraints. His colleagues, Dr. Lila Norton, a 33-year-old veterinary consultant, and Owen Kitt, a 28-year-old handler, had stopped at Mammoth to capture footage of the limestone terraces. Dr. Norton had pointed out that several bull elk had gathered harems near the administrative buildings. Owen, inexperienced with wild elk behavior during rutting season, had urged the group to keep to the designated sidewalks. The crew had chosen this location for its stunning backdrop of white limestone terraces, cascading down the hillside. However, their visit coincided with peak elk rutting season, when normally docile animals transformed into aggressive territorial defenders. Multiple bull elk had established territories on the expansive lawns, each guarding females while constantly challenging rivals. The air resonated with bugling calls, and several bulls could be seen raking their antlers against shrubs and pacing restlessly. Bull elk during rutting season are among North America's most dangerous large mammals, with mature males weighing up to 700 pounds and sporting antlers that span 5 feet across. These creatures undergo dramatic behavioral changes during autumn mating season, becoming highly aggressive and territorial. Their massive antlers, consisting of solid bone and weighing up to 40 pounds, serve as formidable weapons capable of inflicting devastating injuries. Bulls will charge anything they perceive as a threat to their dominance or access to females. The attack began when Bryce stepped off the designated walkway onto the lawn to achieve a better camera angle. A dominant bull elk, which had been pacing between his harem and the approaching humans, immediately identified this movement as a territorial intrusion. The massive animal lowered its head, displaying its impressive rack while emitting a deep, guttural challenge call. Bryce made the fatal mistake of continuing across the lawn, rather than immediately retreating to safety. The bull elk's territorial instincts triggered an immediate aggressive response. The animal pivoted toward Bryce, its powerful neck muscles flexing as it positioned its antlers for maximum impact. The elk broke into a charge, covering the distance with surprising speed. Its hooves thundered against the ground as nearly 700 pounds of muscle and bone accelerated toward its target. The initial collision drove the elk's antlers deep into Bryce's torso with tremendous force. The sharp tines, each measuring several inches in length, penetrated through his chest cavity, puncturing both lungs and severing major blood vessels. The impact lifted Bryce off his feet as the bull continued its forward momentum, driving the antlers deeper. The elk's massive head twisted violently, using its antlers like spears to inflict maximum damage. As Bryce's body went limp, impaled on the bull's antlers, massive internal bleeding began immediately. The punctured lungs collapsed, filling with blood and preventing oxygen from reaching vital organs. The elk lifted its head, raising Bryce's body several feet off the ground, before shaking violently to dislodge what it perceived as a defeated rival. The antler tines had severed his aorta, causing catastrophic blood loss that would prove fatal within minutes. The bull finally succeeded in throwing Bryce's motionless form several feet across the lawn before returning to its harem. The massive trauma to his chest cavity, combined with complete respiratory system collapse and massive internal hemorrhaging, resulted in immediate cardiovascular failure. Dr. Norton and Owen immediately called for emergency assistance, while maintaining safe distance from the still agitated bull. Rangers arrived quickly and used vehicles to create a barrier between the aggressive elk and the scene, while emergency medical personnel attempted life-saving measures. However, the extensive internal injuries caused by the elk's antlers had already proven fatal. The bull elk, having successfully defended its territory, showed no further aggression and was allowed to remain with its harem. Park officials launched an investigation focusing on visitor education about elk behavior during rutting season and the importance of maintaining safe distances from wildlife. Bryce's family released a statement honoring his lifelong dedication to animal welfare and requesting privacy during their grief. While Bryce Abbott had become another victim of Yellowstone's dangerous wildlife at Mammoth Hot Springs, the deadly encounters continued. Carter Hayes had lost his life to a massive bison at Madison Junction, and soon Faith Gardner would face her own terrifying ordeal at West Thumb, where an unexpected encounter with one of North America's most adaptable predators would test human survival. It was July 12, 2014, when a peaceful lunch break at West Thumb Geyser Basin turned into another tragic wildlife encounter in Yellowstone National Park. The scenic picnic area, situated along the shores of Yellowstone Lake with crystal-clear waters reflecting surrounding mountains, typically offered visitors a serene setting to enjoy meals while observing thermal features. The midday sun filtered through towering lodgepole pines, creating dappled shadows across wooden picnic tables scattered throughout the recreation area. Faith Gardner, a 27-year-old primate trainer known for her calm demeanor and patient handling techniques with dangerous animals in circus environments, was traveling with her crew during a brief respite between performance bookings. Her partner, Mark Ellison, a 30-year-old logistics coordinator who was both practical and protective, had advocated for keeping their stop brief before the area became crowded. Priya Banerjee, a 26-year-old production assistant with an optimistic outlook, had encouraged the group to linger for scenic photographs away from bustling crowds. The timing of their visit coincided with increased bear activity in the area, as evidenced by multiple warning signs posted throughout the picnic grounds and recent sighting reports from other visitors. An overflowing trash receptacle nearby had attracted scavengers, and lingering scents of food from previous picnickers created an environment ripe for wildlife encounters. Various snacks, sunscreen bottles, and a soft-sided cooler containing their lunch remained scattered across the wooden table, creating attractive odors that would prove fatally enticing to local predators. Black bears are among North America's most adaptable and opportunistic omnivores, with adult males weighing up to 400 pounds and possessing incredible strength and agility. Despite their smaller size compared to grizzlies, black bears are responsible for more human fatalities due to their proximity to populated areas and willingness to approach human food sources. These intelligent animals possess an extraordinary sense of smell, capable of detecting food odors from several miles away. When black bears become habituated to human food sources, they lose their natural fear and become increasingly bold and aggressive. The attack began when a large male black bear emerged from dense timber surrounding the picnic area, moving with deliberate purpose toward tables where food scents lingered strongest. The bear approached cautiously, standing on its hind legs to assess the situation before dropping to all fours and advancing toward unattended food items. Faith made the fatal mistake of stepping directly toward the feeding bear to retrieve the cooler rather than backing away slowly and allowing the animal access while preparing defensive measures. As Faith moved between the bear and its target, the animal interpreted her approach as a direct challenge to its food source. The bear's demeanor shifted instantly from cautious scavenging to aggressive defense of what it now considered its territory. The animal lowered its head and charged across the short distance, its powerful limbs propelling nearly 350 pounds of muscle and bone toward its perceived threat. The initial impact knocked Faith backward with tremendous force, her body striking the ground hard as the bear's momentum carried both away from the picnic table. The bear's powerful forepaws, equipped with razor-sharp claws measuring up to 4 inches in length, raked across Faith's chest and shoulders, creating deep lacerations that severed major blood vessels and exposed underlying muscle tissue. The animal's massive jaws, designed for crushing bone and tearing flesh, clamped down on her neck and upper torso. The bear's bite force, exceeding 800 pounds per square inch, crushed Faith's cervical vertebrae and severed her carotid artery, causing massive blood loss and immediate loss of consciousness. The animal's claws continued to inflict devastating wounds across her torso, puncturing her lungs and causing them to collapse rapidly. As Faith's body went limp beneath the bear's assault, the predator maintained its grip, shaking violently in the manner typical of a feeding response. Mark deployed bear spray as quickly as possible, but the chemical deterrent's effectiveness was limited by close quarters and the bear's already heightened aggressive state. The capsaicin-based spray eventually forced the bear to release its grip and retreat toward the tree line, but the damage had already been inflicted. The combination of massive blood loss from the severed carotid artery, crushing injuries to the spinal column, and collapsed respiratory system resulted in Faith's death within minutes. Emergency responders arrived within 20 minutes of the initial 911 calls, but Faith had already succumbed to her injuries. The bear, having been driven off by bear spray, disappeared into the dense forest. Rangers immediately secured the scene and began tracking the animal to assess its threat level to other park visitors. Park officials launched a comprehensive investigation, focusing on food storage violations and circumstances that led to the bear's aggressive behavior. The black bear was eventually located and euthanized due to its demonstrated willingness to attack humans in defense of food sources. Faith's family released a brief statement emphasizing her lifelong passion for animal conservation and requesting privacy during their mourning. The tragedy at West Thumb added another name to the growing list of wildlife fatalities that summer. Bryce Abbott had fallen victim to a rutting elk at Mammoth Hot Springs, and the pattern of deadly encounters showed no signs of abating. Soon, Dustin Palmer would face his own harrowing confrontation at Tower Fall, where one of North America's most elusive and powerful predators would demonstrate why it remains the ultimate apex hunter. It was September 3rd, 2017, when a routine hike to Tower Fall Overlook became the final chapter in a deadly summer of wildlife encounters at Yellowstone National Park. The popular trail, winding through dense lodgepole pine forest, with narrow switchbacks leading to spectacular views of the 132-foot waterfall, typically attracted hundreds of visitors daily. However, approaching dusk had thinned the crowds considerably, leaving only scattered hikers making their way back as shadows lengthened between towering trees. Dustin Palmer, a 33-year-old exotic cat presenter known for his creative and improvisational approach to animal handling in circus environments, was completing what should have been a simple scenic walk with his colleagues. His reputation for solving problems on the fly had served him well working with dangerous predators, but it also led him to take calculated risks. Sandra Coe, a 41-year-old show manager focused on meeting tight deadlines, had insisted on making this quick stop for promotional footage before their long drive. Theo Marsh, a 25-year-old animal technician, had noticed fresh deer sign along the trail edges and mentioned the abundant wildlife activity. The group had chosen the Tower Fall Trail for its dramatic backdrop and easy accessibility, unaware that their visit coincided with peak hunting activity for apex predators. The dense forest provided perfect cover for stalking, while narrow trail sections created natural ambush points. Recent rainfall had softened the forest floor, muffling sounds and creating ideal tracking conditions. As evening approached, reduced visibility and cooler temperatures signaled the beginning of prime hunting hours for nocturnal predators. Mountain lions are among North America's most efficient and deadly predators, capable of taking down prey many times their own size. Adult males can weigh up to 220 pounds and measure 8 feet in length, with powerful hindquarters that allow them to leap vertically up to 15 feet and horizontally up to 45 feet. These solitary hunters possess retractable claws up to 2 inches long and canine teeth designed to deliver crushing bites to the neck or skull. Cougars are ambush predators that rely on stealth and surprise, often stalking targets for extended periods before launching devastating attacks. The attack began when Dustin separated from his group to adjust a loose bootlace, stepping off the main trail into a small clearing surrounded by dense timber. The mountain lion, which had been tracking the group's movement through the forest, identified this moment of isolation as the perfect opportunity to strike. Dustin made the fatal mistake of crouching down with his back to heavy cover, presenting himself as vulnerable prey while remaining unaware of the predator's presence just yards away. The cougar launched itself from its concealed position with explosive power, covering the distance in a single bound. The animal's powerful hindquarters propelled its muscular frame through the air, front claws extended and jaws open as it aimed for Dustin's upper back and neck. The initial impact drove both predator and prey to the forest floor with tremendous force. The cougar's weight and momentum ensuring complete dominance from the first moment of contact. The mountain lion's razor-sharp claws, designed for gripping struggling prey, sank deep into Dustin's shoulders and back, creating multiple puncture wounds that severed muscles and blood vessels. The predator's powerful jaws clamped down on the back of Dustin's neck with crushing force, its 4-inch canine teeth penetrating through skin, muscle, and vertebrae. The cougar's bite, delivering over 400 pounds of pressure per square inch, fractured cervical vertebrae and severed the spinal cord, causing immediate paralysis and loss of consciousness. As Dustin's body went limp beneath the attack, the mountain lion maintained its death grip on his neck while using its powerful claws to rake across his torso and limbs. The predator's instinctive killing behavior involved crushing the prey's windpipe and major blood vessels in the neck, ensuring rapid death through asphyxiation and massive blood loss. The combination of spinal cord severance, crushed vertebrae, and massive trauma to the carotid arteries resulted in Dustin's death within minutes of the initial attack. The mountain lion began dragging the body toward denser cover, when shouts from Dustin's approaching colleagues caused the predator to abandon its kill and retreat deeper into the forest. Sandra and Theo, who had become concerned when Dustin failed to rejoin the group, discovered the scene and immediately contacted emergency services. Rangers and medical personnel arrived as quickly as the remote location allowed, but Dustin had already succumbed to his injuries. Park officials launched an extensive investigation into the incident, working with wildlife biologists to track and monitor the cougar responsible for the attack. The mountain lion was eventually located and euthanized due to its demonstrated willingness to attack humans, a behavior that posed an unacceptable risk to public safety. Dustin's family released a statement honoring his passion for wildlife and requesting privacy during their grief. The death of Dustin Palmer marked the tragic conclusion of a summer that had claimed multiple lives to Yellowstone's dangerous wildlife. Faith Gardner had fallen victim to a black bear at West Thumb just months earlier, adding to a growing list of fatalities that included encounters with grizzly bears, bison, and elk. The series of attacks highlighted the inherent dangers of venturing into America's wilderness areas, where humans remain vulnerable to wild predators. Thanks for watching. Want to watch more? Click on your screen now.